Buenas a todos, bienvenidos a otro capítulo de Dragon Age Origin. En el capítulo anterior conseguimos salir de Lothering. Y bueno, Altair nos estuvo contando sobre los sueños que tenemos con los engendros tenebrosos y los archidemonios. Nos estuvo explicando que, bueno, debido a nuestra sangre, o debido a que bebimos sangre de engendro, podemos escuchar los mensajes que les da que le da el archidemonio al resto de engendros tenebrosos. Bueno, establecimos un lugar donde quedarnos por el momento. Así que vamos a ver qué nos cuenta Liliana, por ejemplo.
Yes.
Hola, Liliana.
Well, here I am.
Esa visión
I
tuya...
knew this would come up sooner or later. I don't know how to explain, but I had a dream. In it, there was an impenetrable darkness. It was so dense, so real. And there was a noise, a terrible, ungodly noise. I stood on a peak and watched as the darkness consumed everything. And when the storm swallowed the last of the sun's light, I fell. And the darkness drew me in.
LOL. ¿Soñaste con la
I
ruina?
suppose I did. That was what the darkness was, no? When I woke, I went to the Chantry's gardens, as I always do. But that day, the rose bush in the corner had flowered. Everyone knew that bush was dead. It was grey and twisted and gnarled, the ugliest thing you ever saw. But there it was, a single beautiful rose.
¿Y se
It
supone que
was
esa
as
soy
though
yo?
the Maker stretched out his hand to say, even in the midst of this darkness, there is hope and beauty. Have faith. In my dream, I fell, or maybe I jumped. I'd do anything to stop the blight. I know that we can do it. There are so many good things in the Maker's world. How can I sit by while the blight devours everything? I don't know. He made this world. He could destroy it. But there is so much worth saving. You're such a pessimist.
Claro, yo soy pesimista, ¿verdad? No tiene nada que ver con que no puedas explicar todo lo que dices, ¿no? Entiendo. Teníamos por aquí unos objetos de la trama, no, objetos. Tenemos por aquí una serie de objetos que podíamos utilizarlo con nuestros personajes para aumentar el afecto con ellos. Jarrón bonito.
I could get used to this, you know.
Ok.
I am grateful. 'Tis thoughtful indeed.
Me alegro. Bueno, ya que a la pobre Liliana nos hemos llevado un poco mal con ella porque la hemos picado un poco con el tema del hacedor y la religión y demás, vamos a hacerle un regalillo.
Oh, how dear of you. Thank you so much.
Oh, sé que te ha encantado, Liliana.
Oh, how dear of you. Thank you so much.
Y a nuestro Mabari podemos ponerle unas pinturas, ¿verdad? Míralo. Ahí está. A ver, señor Sten. Señor Sten. ¿Qué podemos ponerte de momento? 5.10, 5.10, 5.95. Y descalzo. Lo voy a llevar así, no por esto. ¿Qué te ponemos en la cabeza? El yelmo y una buena espada. Perfecto. Unos accesorios. ¿Y ya está? Parece que no tengo nada más. Defensa. Vamos a hablar, por ejemplo, con Alistair.
What do you need? Ask away. Same way you did. You drink some blood, you choke on it, and pass out. You haven't forgotten already, have you? Let's see, I was in the Chantry before. I trained for many years to become a Templar, in fact. That's where I learned most of my skills.
Hombre, muy religioso no.
You're telling me I was banished to the kitchens to scour the pots more times than I can count. And that's a lot. I can count pretty high. The Grand Cleric didn't want to let me go. Duncan was forced to conscript me, actually, and was she ever furious when he did? I thought she was going to have us both arrested. I was lucky.
¿Por qué quería
I wondered
retenerte?
that myself. It's not as if she valued me highly. I think she just didn't want to give anything to the Grey Wardens, is all. The Chantry didn't lose much. And I think I can do more fighting the Blight anyhow, rather than sitting in a temple somewhere. I'll always be thankful to Duncan for recruiting me. If it hadn't been for him, you know, I wouldn't have.
Por favor, no vuelvas a llorar.
He was a good man who didn't deserve his fate.
El pobre.
That much I'm
Pobre
sure.
Duncan.
Come on, let's go. I think I'm done talking.
No, no hemos terminado de hablar.
What do you need? You don't have to do that. I know you didn't know him as long as I did. I should have handled it better. Duncan warned me right from the beginning that this could happen. Any of us could die in battle. I shouldn't have lost it, not when so much is riding on us, not with the Blight and everything. I'm sorry. I'd like to have a proper funeral for him. Maybe once this is all done, if we're still alive. I don't think he had any family to speak of.
Se pierden a tantas personas en una lucha así.
I suppose he did. It probably sounds stupid, but part of me wishes I was with him, in the battle. I feel like I abandoned him. Yes, I know. I think he came from High Ever, or so he said. Maybe I'll go up there sometime. See about putting up something in his honor. I don't know. Have you had someone close to you die? Not that I mean to pry.
Sí, que ha muerto. Sus padres, por ejemplo.
Oh, of course. How stupid of me to forget. Here I am going on and on about Duncan, and you... I am so sorry. Thank you. Really, I mean it. It was good to talk about it, at least a little. I'd like that. So would he, I think.
Se lo merece, Duncan, se lo merece.
What do you need? Ask away. Did I say that? I meant that dogs raised me. Giant slaughtering dogs from the Anderfells. A whole pack of them, in fact.
Ya, ya.
Oh, there you go, listening to me again. You'd think you'd have gotten past that already. I ended up in the Chantry, sure, but I didn't start there. Let's see, how do I explain this? I'm a bastard. And before you make any smart comments, I mean the fatherless kind. My mother was a serving girl in Redcliffe Castle who died when I was very young. Our Lehman wasn't my father, but he took me in anyhow and put a roof over my head. He was good to me, and he didn't have to be. I respect the man, and I don't blame him anymore for sending me off to the Chantry once I was old enough. I know who I was told was my father. He died even before my mother did, anyhow. It isn't important. Our Lehman eventually married a young woman from Orlais, which caused all sorts of problems between him and the king because it was so soon after the war. But he loved her. Anyhow, Then you, Arlessa, resented the rumors which pegged me as his bastard. They weren't true, but of course they existed. The Arl didn't care, but she did. So off I was packed to the nearest monastery at age 10. Just as well. The Arlessa made sure the castle wasn't a home to me by that point.
En vez de creer a su marido, ¿sabes? Envió a un niño de 10 años a entrenarse. Ay, Dios.
Maybe. She felt threatened by my presence, I can see that now. I can't say I blame her. She wondered if the rumors were true herself, I bet. I remember I had an amulet with Andraste's holy symbol on it. The only thing I had of my mother's. I was so furious at being sent away, I tore it off and threw it at the wall and it shattered. Stupid, stupid thing to do. The Arl came by the monastery a few times to see how I was, but I was stubborn. I hated it there, and blamed him for everything. And eventually, he just stopped coming.
Pobre Al.
And raised my dogs. Or I may as well have been, the way I acted. But maybe all young bastards act like that. I don't know. All I know is that the Arl is a good man, and well loved by the people. He also was King Kaelin's uncle, so he has a personal motivation to see Loghain pay for what he did.
Me parece perfecto que son
Anyway,
nuestro aliado.
that's really all there is to the story.
Me parece que te cagas. Vamos a hacer amistades.
What do you need?
Y antes de
Ask
nada,
away.
quiero saber qué es un
Essentially,
templario
they're trained
exactamente.
to fight. The Chantry would tell you that the Templars exist simply to defend. But don't let them fool you. They're an army. The other main purpose for a Templar is, of course, to hunt mages. To that end, we train in talents that drain mana and disrupt spells. You could call it that, sure. The Chantry doesn't look on it the same way, however, since really our talents only work on mages. Against a regular person, I'm just a guy in a metal suit.
Entiendo.
Perhaps, but there usually isn't much of an opportunity. The Chantry keeps a close rein on its Templars. We are given lyrium to help develop our magical talents, you see. Which means we become addicted.
Adictos al
And
lirio.
since the Chantry controls the lyrium trade with the dwarves,
LOL. Mercado negro.
thankfully, no. You only start receiving lyrium once you've taken your vows. You don't need lyrium in order to learn the Templar talents. Lyrium just makes Templar's talents more effective. Or so I was told. Maybe it doesn't even do that. The Chantry usually doesn't let their Templars get away either, so they can spread their secrets. I'm a bit of an exception. Lucky me.
Bueno, afortunado, afortunado. A ver, Liliana.
Yes? Well, here I am. What is meant by someone like me?
Una mujer tan hermosa como tú. Es para iniciar un romance con Liliana.
Did you think I was always a cloistered sister? The Chantry provides succor and safe harbor to all who seek it. I chose to stay and become affirmed. I was a traveling minstrel in Orlais. Tales and songs were my life. I performed, and they rewarded me with applause and coin. And my skill in battle? Well, you pick up different skills when you travel, yes? Yes, of course. Let's move on.
¿Por qué no me lo trago?
Yes?
No me creo una mierda que seas una trovadora y que
Of course I do.
hayas
I love
adquirido las
stories
habilidades de
far
pelear.
too much to keep them to myself. Everyone should be able to benefit from them, I think. Which one?
Andraste.
Andraste was the Maker's chosen. The Maker had long since abandoned the world when the sound of her singing turned his ear. Beauty, grace, and wisdom enraptured him, and he offered to take her from this flawed world to become his divine bride. But Andraste had an earthly husband and would not forsake him. Instead, she beseeched the Maker to return to his people once more. So earnest was her plea that the Maker was moved and promised that he would create a paradise on earth if all abandoned their false gods and turned once more to him. And this is why Andraste began her exalted march on the idolaters of the Tevinter Imperium. The Maker granted her his powers with which to smite her enemies. Andraste brought the Imperium to its knees, and her victories converted many to the worship of the Maker. Alas, it was the frailties of men that betrayed and killed Andraste. Her earthly husband, Maferath, a chieftain of the Alamari tribes himself, grew jealous as his wife's popularity and influence overshadowed his own. She was also revered as the Maker's betrothed, and Maferath began to see their own bond waning in significance as Andraste became ever more devoted to the Maker. Out of envy and spite, Maferath made a pact with the Archon Hessarian of Tevinter, allowing his beloved Andraste to be ambushed and captured. Andraste was burned at the stake in Minrathous, the capital of Tevinter. I have thought on this too. Did he withdraw his sight from her at that moment? Where were all the powers he bestowed upon her? This question has come to me many times, and I have no answer. Perhaps there was no way for Andraste to return to the Maker but through her death. We will never know for sure.
Bueno, pues así conocemos la historia de Andraste. Sten.
Why are we stopping?
Nos hemos detenido para descansar, básicamente.
There are darkspawn to be fought. Is this delay needful?
Sí, es necesario. Podemos descansar de vez en cuando.
You are concerned. No need. I am fit enough to fight. No.
Como que no.
People are not simple. They cannot be summarized for easy reference in the manner of the elves are a lithe, pointy-eared people who excel at poverty. Many humans have said that to me. I do not understand it. If I were indeed hostile, you would be bleeding.
Joder, qué radical.
Couldn't you tell?
No.
I am.
El hombre de palabras cortas. Frases cortas.
Decide. I am a Sten of the Beresad. I did not choose to be who I am any more than you did. I have always fought in war, human. My people have been at war since the moment we set foot in the Northern Islands. We do now. Somewhere else. No. I was born in Seheron. Of the land we came from, I know nothing, not even its name. I do not see how this matters. Seheron and Parvolan are distant. Ferelden and the Darkspawn are immediate. What a strange language you speak. You say hurry, where I would say duty. No, it is yours, and you are chatting with me instead.
Bueno, bueno. Tranquilito, ¿eh?
Yes. Sitting, as you observed. Your grasp of the obvious is remarkable. Warden, if I truly disliked you, I would leave. That I am still here, you may interpret however you choose. I did. Parshera, was there anything else? Speak, then. Then I suggest we move on. I am hardly surprised. To answer a question.
Una pregunta.
For someone so dismissive of questions, you ask a great many. The Arishok asked what is the blight. By his curiosity, I am now here. Why do you? Exactly. You don't ask, nor do I. The Arishok sends me and I go. A portion of it. Were you not at Ostagar when the army was overwhelmed? That is your answer. Yes. Never. I cannot
Como que
go
nunca.
home. Thank you. Can we move on? We keep the darkspawn waiting.
Vale, vale.
As you wish.
De acuerdo, de acuerdo. ¿Y estos?
Ah, it's good to see you, my timely rescuer. Bodon Fennick, at your service once again. I saw your camp and thought to myself, what safer place to rest for the evening
O sea que al
than the
final nos ha
camp of the
seguido,
Grey
¿no?
Ward. I'm perfectly willing to offer you a fine discount for the inconvenience of our presence.
Claro, hombre,
How's
claro.
that sound? Good? Yes? I'm sure you'll be pleased with the goods my boy and I have collected, and with your discount.
Hombre, con descuento. A ver, vamos a vender algunas cositas. No quiero un hacha. 4,40. 4,40. Se vende. Laminada. 3. No, espera. Devuélveme esto. 25. ¿Veis? Esto es lo que me refería. Necesitamos mucho dinero para conseguir cosas como estas, que son muy bonitas. Voluntad 2. Resistencia a la naturaleza, regeneración de vigor. Aumenta la ganancia del dinero. Viento de arquero, ascua, granizo. Runas. Qué bonitas runas. Estos regalos pertenecen a una DLC. Que bueno, ahora os lo enseñaré. Todos estos regalos pertenecen a una DLC que regalo bien intencionado. ¡Oh, mochila, por favor! Gracias. Gracias. Ajá. Aceite ácido, la ponzoña. De acuerdo. A ver, os cuento. Os cuento los regalos. A ver, estos regalos, bueno, son para otros miembros del grupo. Bueno, este no. Este se lo puedo dar ya.
I am grateful.
Bueno, pues
Tis
estos
thoughtful
regalos
indeed.
son para miembros del grupo que ahora mismo no están. Entonces más adelante se los daremos. Pero estos son otros regalos que con los que los personajes pueden interaccionar. Por ejemplo, si le damos este títere a ella,
Terrible notion.
si le damos este títere a ella, puede utilizarlo para hacerle vudú a Alistair. Si le damos este palo a Mabari, jugará con él. El laúd para Leliana,
That's a wonderful thought. I
¿veis?
don't know what to say.
Aumenta muchísimo, muchísimo el aprecio.
No, bad. Bad idea. Awful. Don't do it.
Bueno, tranquilo. Si por ejemplo le damos esto, podemos bajar el afecto. Este muñeco también es para Morrigan. Este.
I am grateful.
Y con ese sí puede interactuar con él. La roca mascota pertenece a otro personaje que ahora mismo no lo tenemos. Este es para Stein.
I am impressed. My thanks.
Aumentan en gran medida el afecto. Y aumentar el afecto supone nuevas interacciones e incluso lealtad. El brandy es para otro personaje. Este ya se lo hemos dado, este ya se lo hemos dado. Este baja el afecto con Sten. Este baja el afecto con el Mabari. Este baja el afecto con otro personaje, con Leliana. Este baja el afecto con Morrigan. Este para el Mabari, este para Sten, este para otro personaje, y este baja el afecto con otro personaje. Entonces, todos estos regalos suponen un aumento o una disminución en el afecto, en esta barrita con los personajes, dependiendo del objeto que le entreguemos a uno u otro. Es muy divertido porque, bueno, cuando salgamos con el grupo, puedes interactuar con ellos. Por ejemplo, a Morrigan, si le damos de nuevo el muñeco de Voodoo, el muñeco de Alistar, puede hacerle perrerías a él. Entonces, súper gracioso. ¿Veis? Nuevas actitudes. Al subir la lealtad con ellos y subir el afecto, desbloqueamos esas nuevas actitudes, que nos vienen muy bien realmente. Perfecto. A ver. A Alistair hay que darle esta.
I could get used to this, you know.
Perfecto. Todos estos accesorios vienen junto con una DLC al comprar del Origins. No es ningún tipo de mod, es una DLC.
The boy's a bit simple, but he's rather good with enchantments. One of those tranquil fellas actually called him a... what was it now? A savant. I had no idea such a thing existed.
Un enano que hace encantamientos. Los enanos no pueden hacer magia.
He can fold lyrium into almost any weapon or piece of armor, though naturally some of the more extravagant materials will take more lyrium than others. It's a process that some of the master smiths back in Orzammar will perform, but my boy here is just as adept at it. Isn't that right, boy?
Enchantment!
There you have it.
De acuerdo. Es bueno saberlo. De acuerdo. ¿Qué más tenemos? Vamos a guardar. ¿Y tú quién eres?
You're a hard woman to find. Where are my manners? The name is Levy Dryden. Did Duncan ever mention me? Levy of the coins? Levy the trader?
No.
Really? He never told you of old Levy? We've known each other for years. But here I am carrying on while you have a blight to stop. Don't want to waste your time. But you see, Duncan promised that together we'd look into something important for the Wardens. And for me. But poor Duncan's... well, no more. A tragedy it is, at that. But I know he would want his work carried on. His pledge fulfilled. Well, as you know, my family's name is mud around noble circles. My great-great-grandmother, Sophia Dryden, was the last Warden Commander of Ferelden back when the Wardens were known as freeloaders. So King Olin banished the Wardens, and he took House Dryden's land and titles.
Al grano.
To reclaim the old grey Warden base, Soldier's Peak, and perhaps we'll uncover evidence to restore my family's honour along the way. know that it's been the Soldier's Peak since the Grey Wardens were banished, but I found a way. They say it's haunted, and it's certainly dangerous. Will you help me? A thousand blessings upon you, Warden. I'll mark down the location on your map. When you arrive, we'll pick our way through the tunnels together.
Vale, tenemos otra nueva misión. ¿Y dónde está Morrigan? Ahí está. Vamos a hablar con ella a ver qué puede contarnos. Morrigan, hola. Con ese súper
I await your command.
sombrero. La vida en la espesura debe haber sido muy
At
solitaria.
times, perhaps. A world full of people and buildings and things was all very foreign to me. If I wished companionship, I ran with the wolves and flew with the birds. If I spoke, 'twas to the trees.
Vale.
Such simple pleasures will only enthrall for so long. I recall the first time I crept beyond the edge of the wilds. I did so in animal form, remaining in the shadows and watching these strange townsfolk from afar. I happened upon a noblewoman by her carriage, adorned in sparkling garments, the likes of which I had never before seen. I was dazzled. This, to me, seemed what true wealth and beauty must be. I snuck up behind her and stole a hand mirror from the carriage. 'Twas encrusted in gold and crystalline gemstones, and I hugged it to my chest with delight as I sped back to the wild. Flemeth was furious with me. I was a child and had not yet come into my full power, and I had risked discovery for the sake of a pretty bauble. To teach me a lesson, Flemeth took the mirror and smashed it upon the ground. I was heartbroken.
Lol.
And a foolish one. Flemeth was right to break me of my fascination.
Oh.
Beauty and love are fleeting and have no meaning. Survival has meaning. Power has meaning. Without those lessons,
Demasiado
I would not be here today,
fuerte para
as
una
difficult
niña, ¿no?
as they might have been. They did indeed. To return to your original question, perhaps my time in the wilds was indeed lonely, but such was how it had to be. I find myself at times wondering what might have become of the girl with the beautiful golden mirror, but such fantasies have no place amidst reality.
Bueno,
I await your command. So, full of questions, are you? Well, that depends, does it not? What does she seem to be?
una vieja chocha.
You mean, is she truly the Flemeth of legend and story? Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience. No doubt such a tale has mutated much over time and telling. I can relay what Flemeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire. As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemeth was young and beautiful, a fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her. Many centuries before this land was even named Ferelden. The tales say that Flemeth fell in love with Osen the bard and fled the castle of her husband, the dread Lord Conobar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, my mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conobar the jealous lord who looked on from afar. Lord Conobar approached young Osen and offered him wealth and power in exchange for his lovely wife. And Osen agreed.
Qué cerdos.
The life of a bard is a poor one, and love fades in the wake of hunger. 'Twas Flemeth who suggested the arrangement. All would have been well had Lord Conobar kept his end of the bargain. But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead.
Ay, madre.
Flemeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge. Spirits first, and 'twas they who slew Conobar. Flemeth did not turn to the demon until much later. Lord Conobar's allies chased Flemeth, you see. Chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong. The legends all speak of the great hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later. All lies. The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemeth tells it, the Chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords. Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemeth was only attached to the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the great war with the Chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began.
Pobrecilla, o sea que la culparon por culparla para quitarse de en medio.
You ask if I have sisters. I have asked of this myself. The stories tell of many witches of the wilds after all, not just the one. And these tales existed long before I did. Flemeth refuses to speak of other daughters, if they existed. So, should I believe I am her first? I doubt that too. The Chastened tell of a falling out between Flemeth and her daughters. They say that one day she hunted them all through the wilds and ate
Dios.
their hearts. It may be true. I have never seen another witch or heard of one. Perhaps one day Flemeth will eat my heart as well. Flemeth tells it with far more embellishment than I, but you are welcome. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious nevertheless. Ah, then you have my sympathies for what it is worth. Which is very little, I am certain. It matters not. Let us move on.
Morgan y su palabrería
your command.
tan delicada.
So, full of questions, are you? I assume you were actually asking whether Flemeth herself gave birth to me. Truly, I do not know. I once asked Flemeth that very question, and she merely laughed at me. 'Tis not inconceivable that she could capture a chastened man, or perhaps change to a more attractive form to attract him willingly. I find it more difficult to imagine her with child. It seems likely, does it not? In an animal form, a babe could easily be spirited away and raised as Flemeth's own. I do know the tales of Flemeth having many daughters, even though I have never met another. And Flemeth has always treated me as
Qué
her
raro.
blood.
Me es demasiado extraña.
What an odd thing to say. Why must love enter into the equation? Flemeth taught me everything I needed to learn. How to survive, the meaning of power, the truth of men. If other mothers do not teach these things, then I believe them the lesser. You suppose it's true? 'Tis true. To indulge in love is to indulge in delusion. Surely a Grey Warden such as yourself does not believe otherwise. And I am glad to hear it.
El amor nos salva a la familia.
I await your command.
Eso es algo que nos ha demostrado nuestra protagonista. Por mucho que quería a sus padres, no pudo hacer nada por ellos. Y con su hermano tampoco.
So, full of questions, are you? I was not born such. 'Tis a skill of Flemeth's, taught over many years in the wilds. The chastened have tales of we witches, saying that we assume the forms of creatures to watch them from hiding. When a child is alone and separate from his tribe, that is when we strike, dragging the young boy kicking and screaming to our lair to be devoured. A most amusing legend.
Madre mía, que... Dios.
Oh, I truly doubt that children would be worth the effort. They are filthy, smelly things full of tears and snot and trouble. I cannot speak for the tastes of my mother. She has, after all, lived a very lengthy time in the wilds and done many things I know nothing of. Why do you ask? Is there something specific you wish to know? The form of an animal is different from my own. One may study the creature, learn to move as it does, think as it does. In time, this allows one to become as it is. I gain nothing by studying another human. I already am the same as they are. I learn nothing. So the answer is no, my human form is the only one I possess. There were nights when the wilds called to me, 'tis true. You look upon the world around you and you think you know it well. I have smelled it as a wolf, listened as a cat, prowled shadows that you never dreamed existed. But my life is as a human. I am under no illusions to the contrary.
Pues yo sí la albergaría.
They do not shy away from me. To their senses, I believe I seem like any other of their species. As to what they think, I truly cannot say. Just as I am still human, no matter my form, they are still animals. Thus they cannot speak, even were I to ask. Indeed. Have you an opinion on my abilities, then? Am I an unnatural abomination to be put to the torch? A most practical opinion. Far more so than any man I have spoken to. But enough of such talk. Let us proceed, lest the dust gather on us.
De acuerdo. Vamos a ver qué está haciendo nuestro Mapari. 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 Míralo, aquí está. Mapari. Con su nueva pintura.
Oh, why, you little...
¿Oh?
Your furry friend here took offense at me getting near his food. He snapped at me, look. Sometimes I forget that he's a war dog. That'll teach me.
Mapari, pero yo te quiero.
I once heard a really old legend about how the hound warriors in the days of the old tribes would feed their Mabari the flesh of the vanquished.
Qué mono.
Well, that's what I heard anyway. It would sometimes be human flesh. Oh, like you can tell the difference. For all you know, maybe you've already been fed something. Someone...
No digas eso a mi perra, ¿eh?
It's not cannibalism if he's eating it, you know.
Look at what your fool dog placed in my pack.
Qué mono.
A putrid, half-eaten hare is not something a woman wants to find in her unmentionables. The dirty mongrel can have this back. There. And tell him not to do it again. I just did.
Oh.
I don't want it, you worthless fur bag.
Morrigan, no le hables así.
Oh, he's just trying to be manipulative, I can tell. I do it too.
¿Tú también me manipulas, Morrigan? Oh, Dios.
You are a true warrior and worthy of respect.
Gracias por verlo así. ¡Qué mono! ¡Qué mono! ¿Qué hace? Vale, pues después de esto, ¿qué tenemos? Que ir al risco rojo. Orsamar, la naturaleza de la bestia. Ir al bosque de los elfos. O el círculo roto. Muy bien, tenemos un montón de misiones nuevas por hacer. Hemos conocido un poquito a nuestro equipo y sus inquietudes. Hemos jugado con perro y bueno, pues creo que el siguiente objetivo será ir a por esta bestia. Tener la cooperación de los clanes dalishanos, los elfos. Pero eso será en el próximo capítulo. ¡Chao, chao!